Hey Aries, what's up? This reading is going to be for your week ahead. We are starting off first with 10 of Cups and 10 of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. Ten of Cups is feeling like you reaching something important. I'm seeing Two of Swords and I'm also seeing Five of Swords, and I wonder if something going on mentally sort of takes away from how you're feeling about something. Because with that Ten of Cups, you can feel like really happy with something, really good with something. I get like an inner glow that you're feeling. But then having this Two of Swords and having Five of Swords can be something that mentally is going on that kind of takes you away from the Ten of Cups. This is an energy that's meant to be worked with. However, this can feel like a difficult energy to work with. And I'm seeing problem solving is going to be needed, and that can feel like a bit much. Okay. To be totally frank with you, what you may be realizing is where you had been being a bit uncooperative and working with that part of yourself, not from a place of like shame or anything like that, but more so from a place of where was my heart not open, and where was I not being cooperative? Because having Two of Swords can be something that we're not seeing, and then having that Five of Swords follow can be you bringing conflict, and in an unnecessary way when we have the Five of Swords. As far as like what we want to be doing and how we want to be showing up, and that can actually be what was making things more difficult. 'Cause for some of you with this Three of Pentacles, this can be that there's a situation that you're working within, and yeah, you may not have been seeing that. Maybe something was triggering you and that you weren't realizing. Maybe you were being uncooperative, but you weren't totally recognizing this. Maybe your heart was closed off in some way, but you weren't totally seeing it. And now can be a time where you're working with that energy within you that feels like it cuts things off sometimes, that may shut down, that may push away, that may create defenses to protect yourself. And working with that part of you, recognizing that part of you, seeing that part of you, finding answers. I think that that's where you can recognize the tension, the stress has been coming from, and why you have been feeling the way that you've been feeling. Feels like cutting through to understand. Maybe even too why something was taking so much energy. Yeah, under the Ten of Cups, we have the Ace of Cups. So what that means is that there is connection that's blossoming, but then seeing that be connected with the Ten of Wands can mean like this is supposed to be something where hearts are connecting or souls are connecting. Why is this feeling so stressful? And what you can be recognizing with the Two of Swords and Five of Swords is seeing stuff within yourself that maybe you didn't want to see before. Because I feel very strongly with this Two of Swords and Five of Swords that it's about like a disposition of yours where there was something going on where you could have been maybe more gentle, you could have been more open, where there was a lack of willingness for vulnerability within yourself, but it can be something that you weren't recognizing when we have Two of Swords before it. It can be like, oh, this is appropriate for this situation, but then when you're regulated again and look back, you realize that maybe you were responding in a way where you wouldn't have had you not been feeling triggered, or you recognize that maybe there was a part of you that came out and showed up and was interacting, and when you take a step back from it, when you're less involved or less attached sort of or reactive to what's going on, you look and say like, I actually don't fully align, my regulated self anyway doesn't fully align with the way that I showed up. But it can be a time when like maybe there's an apology happening, but this can be you even just working with yourself. Maybe it doesn't have to be so intensively related to the other person. This can just be a place of more self-awareness for you, that you realize that something happened and you could have armored up, that something happened and you could have closed yourself off, something happened that you felt was offensive in some type of way, but maybe again you weren't realizing it with the Two of Swords there, maybe weren't seeing it before, maybe hadn't seen how. I just get the feeling of doing something that may have been, or just like even in a space that was more conflict oriented and less cooperative. Meanwhile, you can be like, I'm being cooperative, but maybe you weren't seeing before how you weren't being cooperative. And I'm not saying like you weren't at all, but this can be a moment where you see, yeah, I felt like I needed to protect myself and I was showing up like that. Or that really bothered me, and so I actually was just reacting to that. So you can see where you kind of you see it now. The Two of Swords is being cleared out by the Ace of Swords. Yeah, you could have had a problem with something too. Maybe didn't realize that it was a problem. And could have felt like, I feel like the thing with the Five of Swords is coming to a place of just recognizing where that mindset was coming from and what it is. And that that's not you when you're regulated and when your heart is open, that it's a different side of you. It doesn't mean that the Five of Swords isn't you. It's you from a fear space. It's you from a space of anxiety. It's you from a place of maybe insecurity, or you when you're dysregulated. It's that side of you that shows up ready to fight, even in the most subtle of ways. And even too, this can just be something that was contained within you. Maybe you didn't go and say anything when you were feeling like the Five of Swords, but you were feeling that within you. It can be animosity you feel within you. It can be anger you feel within you. It can be some type of separating, like me versus them within you that you're experiencing. And then having to work with that part of yourself that's maybe trying to like distance yourself a bit. Distance in a way of saying like, this is other. And that may not be something that you want to do. Like maybe your bigger goal here with the Three of Pentacles is to cooperate and to collaborate and to work together and to listen and to communicate. And see also that there's joy here, that there's connection here, that something is more beautiful and more fulfilling than maybe you were allowing yourself to recognize. Yeah, this Five of Swords be connected with the Tower. The Tower is our Mars energy being activated. This can be what can happen though is that this may have been like the only way that you knew how to attempt correcting something that was going on that you felt like was out of order, and this was just the way that it was chosen to sort of show up and do this. Because Five of Swords does have a purpose for showing up. When we have the Tower though, it can be a bit uncontrolled, and it can be something that's maybe more destructive than we'd prefer it to be. I feel too like you're seeing how your own mindset can be destructive at times, and how it can sort of explode things, like rip things apart. This can also be a square off that you have with somebody too. Knock things down, building them back up. So this is something that you have been putting your energy into for a while. I'm hearing little meows somewhere. Hermit and Knight of Wands can be that before you're immediately, hi baby, before you're immediately reacting to something, it can be like, I'm going to think about how I want to move forward with this. I want to move forward in a way where this is true to me still, how I'm moving. Because I want this move to feel genuine at the same time. I want it to feel responsive rather than reactive in a way that may not truly like align with the most genuine space within me. Maybe not something that you want to be aligning to. Maybe you feel like something was aligning more with the shadow space, and that's how it was being carried on. So it can be a time where there's more of a focus on, again, coming back to this union, cooperation, listening, especially working together with the Three of Pentacles. And having Eight of Pentacles below it feels like there's something or someone that you have been working together with, that you have already put a lot of energy into, and that this is still something that holds meaning for you. That Five of Swords in the Tower can be conflict that you weren't expecting, and it can be something that ends up being more destructive than you thought that it would be. I hear you. I will be with you soon. So I feel too like you may be seeing the power of your own Mars as well. That can be part of this too. You see how when something becomes uncontained, it can become out of control as well. And I think also you see the difference when you ground and when you regulate. You look and you see the difference between where you're standing then and where you were standing before, and being able to just understand more about yourself through that experience. So having this Ten of Cups and having Nine of Pentacles, I do feel like there's a bit of a cycle, a pattern that you are transcending through the completion of understanding this as well. I do think too that the takeaway immediately could have been that when we have the Ace of Cups, it's a connection of some sort. Connected with the Ten of Wands, you could have been looking at a connection and saying to yourself, why is this so stressful? Like, it shouldn't be feeling like this, shouldn't be feeling like that. Feeling like it was all on the other end of this, but then coming to a place of realizing it was you too. Like that Five of Swords was also your energy as well. So you were adding to it being like that. Rather than just like shifting the blame and having none of it for your own, and not from a place of doing this on purpose. It can be like we weren't realizing that that's what was going on. We didn't realize that that was the attitude, or that that was the mindset. It just felt normal maybe for the situation, and then you see sort of your own energy within that, recognize what it is, and choose whether or not that's something that you want to be moving with, or like emanate. And it helps you sort of cut through the mass energetically. I do get the sense that this was coming from a place that could have been less well thought out. And when you take the activated tower and you bring it into the territory of the hermit, it's kind of like containing that so you can look at it and pull it apart. So this can be something happens with you and another person, rather than bringing that force right into the interaction with the other person. You say, like, I feel this coming up within me, and I'm gonna pull back right now and go into hermit mode, and I'm gonna take this apart and see what this is, like a mechanic, how you're doing it with the tower. Like, the tower is, you feel the tower coming on within you, you feel your Mars energy being activated, and so you like pull it into that space where you shine the flashlight on it so you can understand, like, why is that happening? Where is this coming from? What is it trying to communicate with me? What's out of alignment? What's out of balance? And that's where you find the answers. And I think something that you see is Five of Swords and the Knight of Wands, and this can be somewhat, it can be like a self-centered energy. It can be a, I'm just thinking about me here. It can be a, I'm separating and it's becoming like me versus you here. And you see how this is just creates further separation rather than cohesion, and rather than unity, and rather than harmony. This can also be like a carelessness as well, or a, like, the way that I'm gonna do this is I'm just gonna spout off and do a bunch of stuff now that's just good for me, or just good for my ego anyway, and then like not really think about you now, like this other person or other thing that's involved in it. This can also be too like someone interacting with you within the energy of the Five of Swords, where they're bringing something like that to you, and then you figuring out, how do you want to handle this? How do you want to navigate this situation? And it helping you to do exactly that. I'm seeing something about a theme having to do with independence here, and that being something that has come up. I'm getting confirmation of this. Something about that having to do with this. Maybe that was part of the trigger with this. And also something else about things not being thought through. Like, this can be action that was taken in some type of way that one perceived as being selfish and was not collaboration oriented. And that can be part of what the issue was and where this feeling was coming from. Because there can be a, why was I an afterthought? Something like that. Whether this be like you feeling that about like that person treating you like that, or maybe you think you were treating that person, like however it is for you, it's working with the energy. It doesn't really like matter ultimately who's doing what, it's what's going on energetically. Like, we're all just playing the roles to be able to act these things out. So yeah, I get the sense that that's actually where it came from. It could have felt like we're supposed to be considering each other here and working together here on this thing that we're building together. 3 of Pentacles and 8 of Pentacles, because it's like we're all here together doing this. Like this is a group project that we're doing here. And when you have somebody making moves where it feels like there wasn't a consideration for you or for everybody else that's involved in this, that can be a moment where action needs to be taken and taken properly as well. It feels like that is what kicked this off. Somebody may have done something impulsively where they were not checking in with everybody, but the thing is that like everybody's involved in this, and that's why that doesn't go over well. That's what I'm seeing. Like, it's like if you're working on something together with everybody, and maybe you have like a joint bank account for this project. It's like somebody went into the joint bank account and was spending it like it was their own without consideration of everybody else. It can be something that was done like that, that felt like that's not considering everybody that's involved in this, and we're all here working together. Why would you do something like independently that goes against what we're trying to do here when that should have been ran by everybody? That can be sort of where this came from. That's what this feels like. And so themes about dependence, independence, codependence, interdependence, things of that nature can be coming up here, especially when you are in a territory where there are collaborations that are happening and when there are things group-wise being worked on together. Because this doesn't feel like an individual project with the 8 of Pentacles. This feels like a group project that's happening. And having that 10 of Cups and having Ace of Cups this is meant to be a happy thing. This is meant to be a thing where there is connection and there is growth emotionally and spiritually, and that there is like the feeling and there is the love. And when you have moves that are being made that are not reflective of that, it brings chaos in and it brings conflict in that's meant to be worked out. And there's also stuff about the mind here too, about the way that we're framing things, the way that we're looking at things, and how we take action based off of that. And I will say this too with the 5 of Swords and Knight of Wands. This can be somebody that's not used to working together in a collaborative space. This can be somebody that they learned, I got to take care of myself because nobody else is looking out for me. And now they're also trying to work within a collaboration. And those old programs are like coming back in because they haven't totally adjusted. So this can be a time when that's being worked out, and rather than like pushing somebody away and being like, you can't be part of this anymore, it feels like bringing this to light, like, hey, this is how this impacted everybody. Like, what was going on with you? What were you thinking when you did this? And actually be able to like work this out. The Tower is Mars, which can be connected with like actually positive change that can happen here, necessary change that can happen here. When I say positive, I mean it can like give you something rather than take something away from you. And with the Hermit there's going to need to be honest, clear reflection about things and the wellness of all of this together. And taking action in a way that when we have Mars and when we have Virgo is about figuring out what is the problem, what is problematic. And then Mars will be the energy behind changing it. When we say this needs to change and that needs to change or this needs to be worked on, that's what Virgo is going to look at through reflection. And then Mars can be that necessary change that happens so things can get back on track here. And this just being also part of working together. But yeah, somebody could have even felt like they were sort of carrying all the weight and there was some type of carelessness or just somebody thinking only, felt like maybe somebody only thinking only about themselves and taking action based off of that when there's a need in this situation to consider everybody involved. All right, my friends, we're going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I am sending everybody love and I hope to catch you guys next time.